Hi, I'm Catherine Delaney, and this is your Daily Tarot for October 19th, 2020. The first card that we have for today is the Queen of Pentacles. Now, this card is associated with our life path and self-development as far as our where we're going in our career and what we value and what we're building in our life that we put value towards. So it is a card that is associated with Capricorn, which is a cardinal earth energy. We could also talk about what's going on in the sign of Capricorn right now, which is we have 3 outer planets which move very slowly and have generational effects on society, are also having personal effects on us in our lives right now and putting into perspective what our values are and where we really want to go in our lives and what, as far as our career path, our value, our life path, etc. And having our focus on that. Now, our second card for today is a major arcana card. It's the Empress card. And this card is associated with Venus. And Venus right now is in Virgo. It is, let's see how long it's going to be in Virgo. I think it's going to be shifting out of there shortly. Yeah. Oh, it's in Virgo. It's at 10 degrees. Oh no, 18 degrees Virgo. So it's going to be moving into a trine relationship with some of those planets that are in Capricorn. And so we are, in interesting time in life, aside from what we're all going through in a massive scale, but because of the shifts that it's happening within us personally as well. And so while we're having this friction that's happening in our life with, the square between our desire to, initiate new projects and the constraints that are going on in society, we also have another pool that we can reach out to and tap into as well, which is in our community and our environment and how we actually reconnect and connect to the earth. And this card is associated with earth element and reminds us to reconnect with the earth, put our feet on the ground, and take in the wisdom of the environment that is around us. It is a major arcana card, so it is a major life lesson and something that we could possibly look back to and recognize as, okay, this was a big shift in my life when I decided to put my anchor in a different place and to actually work towards something that I'm creating and building in life. The third card that we have for today is the Ten of Swords. Now, as you can tell, your general impression of this card isn't a positive impression. This is the Ten of Swords, so it is associated with crystallized way of thinking, like keeping yourself in the dark and sometimes being your own worst enemy in how you think about things and where we put our thoughts. So what's interesting is that we are in this big time and this big shift, and the mind can wander, especially when it's in a place of unknown, and it has been conditioned in such a way to actually wander into a place of fear, wander into a place of doubt, wandering into a place of self-criticism, which can happen because our mind, for whatever reason, in some cultures more so than others, has been conditioned to look at things that are out of place or broken, or and it's just a perception sometimes. Of course, if your clock is broken, you fix it, but if we have something going on in our life that is causing a lot of unrest, it can be common for the mind to go to a darker place or a more doubtful place, and in that way we can be our own worst enemy. So the energy behind this card is telling us to put down some of the swords and stop fixating on thoughts that are self-defeating and that aren't progressive or practical in any way. And that can be hard to do. We can especially be habitual in how we think about things, kind of like, if you remember Scrooge McDuck and like how he would walk around in that circle in that room whenever he would think about things. If you consider how we have our minds wired and, you know, how our neural network works, what we think about can, you know, create stronger neural networks as we think about them more and more and more and more. So the idea in the Ten of Swords is to put down some of the swords and, you know, eventually, ideally, to get back to the single sword, so that you can have clarity rather than, you know, having all of these thoughts coming in, because that's what the swords are, our mental center and our thoughts and what we focus on. And, you know, so where we put our energy and where we put our thoughts can be an act of our own will, if we have it, right? It's a practice, and it could be, you know, something simple that you bring into your life that can bring in a different practice of where you set your mind and where you put your attention, so that it can be freeing from, you know, this energy. Now, when I got this card, I was like, oh boy, like that's not a fun energy today. And I know, and it gives me a sense that, you know, there are a lot of people going through a lot of mental turmoil right now. And something that Venus reminds us to do, and this Empress card reminds us to do, is that some of the, you know, most beneficial things that we have in our life to help us free us from our mind is out in nature, because it can be so captivating and beautiful and actually put us in a place of gratitude rather than in this place of wherever the mind wants to take us because of lack or because of fear or because of wherever it wants to go. So I invite people to do that, to actually spend some time out in nature and take in your environment and the beauty in this world, because it is changing every day. And there are a lot of shifts happening, and it can help us get grounded, and it can help us get clarity. And I don't know if you're similar to me, but I get some of my most profound insights from nature and being out in nature and just getting out of the environment that triggers me constantly, mentally, into things that could be worrisome. And to realize that everything is shifting, you know, and to trust that things are shifting into place and will be shifting into place, and there are a lot of unknowns, but things will be known in time. And if we can put our energy into a place of, you know, trying to get just some centeredness and letting go of those thoughts and being less identified by those thoughts themselves, then it can be less, it can have less of a hold on us and be less binding, you know. So when as I was saying, when I pulled a card to see what would help us in this state, and I got the Four of Wands. And the Four of Wands is a stability of will, you know, like what is willfulness versus like mindfulness. You know, the mind it is like the wind, and it's attached and connected to the air sign, because it is moving and it is shifting, and it can be triggered and caught up and, you know, have this unstable nature to it. And yet it can also be dangerous to us, you know, if it can really capture us and get us identified in that way. But if we actually like look at our willfulness is more of like our third chakra, our solar plexus, and our courageousness and our willfulness and our sense of self, even amidst chaos, and how we stand up to chaos, and how we, you know, as I would say, like reset our sails and grab the wind and like use the wind for our benefit to get to land, right? Instead of staying in that sea of like tying up our emotions and our mind and like being caught in that storm. Like, how do we actually catch the energy of it and take ourselves into a place where we can actually, you know, find grounding again and like find appreciation for what's in our actual environment rather than just being totally lost up here. So I hope that makes some sense, and I hope that today's tarot reading was useful. I do wish you a big heart today and a big hug, and hope that you are staying well, and I will see you soon. Take care.